We have to choose which policy we want. But they conceal it from us. And I'm extremely angry that the people in this country who say they deplore this sort of thing have fallen silent. It's being condoned by the European Union in Washington as events unfold.
I got Senator Stern here. So we swing over and look at some of the drugs.
And when you say the Western countries will bear some responsibility, in what sense do they bear responsibility?
There's a vision both ways.
Look at it through Moscow's eyes. Since the Clinton administration in the 1990s, the U.S.-led West has been on a steady march toward post-Soviet Russia.
This is a weapons demonstration.
Began with the expansion of NATO in the 1990s. Bush then further expanded NATO all the way to Russia's borders. Then came the funding of what are euphemistically called NGO.
I don't know if you know this, but I don't speak Russian!
This is not what we agreed to. They promised me suits and then they promised me 12.
Everything.
This is not what I wanted.
The political action group funded by the West operating inside Russia. Then came the decision to build missile defense installations along Russia, allegedly against Iran, a country which has neither nuclear weapons nor any missiles to deliver them. Then comes American military outpost in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia, which led to the War of 208. And now the West is at the gates of Ukraine. That's the picture as Moscow sees it. And it's rational, it's reasonable, it's hard to deny. Let's ask ourselves this. Who precipitated this crisis?
Anyway, carry on.
You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where the strange is just another day at the office and the unexplained is our playground.
Hi, this is Liam Martin of the Exile Minds podcast, and you're listening to the network that never stops seeking Troubled Minds Radio, KUAP Digital Broadcasting.
You're tuned into Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we peer into the future, embrace the power of AI, and delve deep into the conspiracies that shape our world.
Are you ready to dive headfirst into the enigmatic, mysterious world of the occult? Troubled Minds. Join the arcane observer on an explorational journey and unravel the ancient secrets, challenges, and boundaries of conventional knowledge and thinking. A fearless exploration into the occult with the arcane observer Minds Radio, unraveling the mysteries of a supernatural journey. Unlike your typical podcast, fearlessly embarking on a quest to demystify the occult, examining the paranormal, the esoteric traditions, and the unexplained. With open minds and a thirst for understanding. Minds Radio, explore ancient wisdoms, supernatural encounters, rituals, magic, conspiracy theories, and occult in popular culture. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or a curious observer, or someone just starting to peer into the shadows, the Arcane Observer invites you to join the electrifying expedition to the heart of Troubled Minds Digital Broadcasting.
You're tuned into Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we contemplate the mysteries of the cosmos through the lens of philosophy, magic, and more.
Hello. Welcome to the show. Excellence Podcast. Me, your famous host, Liam Martin. I don't know if she's glitchy clicking in my ear. I hope it's not. I hope it's not coming through on the older. I think it should be on the stream. It's a bit clicky at the minute for me in my headphones. Anyway, give us a shout if you can hear me. I had a couple of technical issues yesterday, so we managed to get it fixed. Just had to re-edit the show and re-upload it and whatnot. But hopefully the sound's coming through. Yeah, let me know. I'll type it in the chat actually. Let me know if sound is working. Thanks. I'll say thanks. Please and thank you. I think we should be okay. I think my restream says that the sound's going through this, so that should be all good. Okay, so today, thanks. I think you've had a lovely day. Yeah, been a bit of a funky audio working. Erika, thank you. Somebody did tell me yesterday, actually, when it Ben, I see it. No problems. That's good. Somebody did say in the chat yesterday, couldn't hear you, but you know sometimes when you just look and I read it as can hear you. I didn't. They put can't. I just missed the T off. I was like, oh, they can hear me. Glenn, you're great. Woo. So in 20 minutes, or about 23 minutes, nobody could hear. So, but we managed to fix it. It worked out okay. I managed to redo it for exactly 2 hours. So sort of. I didn't find the homeless guy though. I didn't find him again today, but it was a good job. Get this for a synchronicity. So I was late yesterday because I was trying to find this homeless guy, feed him. Then I had a brainwave that I've got a tent and an allotment plot, and it's on a secure site. And I've got a power bank, and I thought I could pitch the tent up for him. So he's got a base to work from. Leave the power bank there. Then he can phone me up when he wants me to come and unlock the gate to get off site so we can come and go. And I thought, yeah, I could do that. You know, just for a few weeks. Do you know what I mean? Because people have, I think, you're not supposed to like officially sleep there because it's not supposed to be a dwelling. But, you can camp out there, you know what I'm saying? So, but it's a good job it didn't, because I got an email today from the allotment site saying that someone's been breaking into the plots and they recommend you go and check, see if anything's been stolen, then report it. And I thought, well, isn't that a coincidence? Because if I'd rushed out today and found that guy yesterday and pitched him up, then it would have looked really suspicious that the first night is this, stuff gets stolen. But luckily, I didn't get around to it, didn't find the guy today, and then saw that email about that. So if it wasn't that weird, it would have made it look all dodgy. So it's a good job. But anyway, moving on from that real life stuff, we'll get back on with the show. Exominds Podcast, episode number 51, with your host Liam Martin. And today we're going to have a look at some of the strangeness surrounding the Greek gods. I mean, this is a bit wild. Some of it, I titled it Greek Gods, Stories of Madness, because some of it just sounds crazy. But at the same time, we know these aren't mad people. We've built the whole entire Western civilization based on what the ancient Greeks wrote about and the way that they did things. So if our entire civilization is built on this and we're really looking up to these people, then you have to wonder, why is it only certain writers and certain specific writings that these certain writers wrote about are getting thrown out when everything else is accepted and we build everything off of the back of it? So I've always found that quite curious. And in recent years, well, this year really, I've come to find out what some of the nitty-gritty details are of what some of these, through Roger Spur primarily for Montfort University. He covers these a lot. And he talks about some of the more wild stories and then tries to look for evidence of it in geology. Okay, there's a reason for this. So what I thought I would do is we'll go and look at some of these Greek gods then. But not so much, you can go through the pantheons and talk about, the Greek god of this, Greek god of that. But I thought, no, let's look at what the writers said that were living at those times to see what they say. Because what I'm doing, I'm essentially doing that. And that's what we're doing today. We're writing in video and, in audio and radio shows. But we're accounting today and letting people know what's going on in the world in our times. So in our times, there's a lot of funky stuff been going on. But nothing as wild as what in the ancient Greeks said in those days. So I thought, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at what, where the basis of our actual, Western history is coming from. So the show today, Greek gods. We're going to have a look at it. Stories of madness. Who else we got? Oh, Salcedo, James in the chat. Nice to see you, James. So we've got Ben, we've got Enrico. Let me know that the sound's working okay. So that's all good. And we're going to get on with it. Greek gods and the stories of madness. And we're going to look to see if could this be real? Could they have been real? That's what I want to know. Because it's so wild, some of these stories. You think, no, crazy talk. That's what we're told. Oh, they're just talking crazy, just poems, just wild stories. But maybe not. Maybe not. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. So let's have a look then. So today, in the show description, we're plan on the Examines podcast with your incredibly famous host, Liam Martin, to enter the realms of the ancient legends where the gods clash, where monsters rise, and the battles reshape the cosmos. In an epic journey of wild, untamed world of Greek mythology, where divine beings and colossal creatures vie for dominion over the universe. Witness the unfathomable power of the titans, the towering giants born from primordial chaos. Primordial chaos. Chaos theory? As they challenge the mighty Olympian gods in an earth-shattering war. So the titans challenge the Olympian gods and the Olympian gods challenge the old gods. So, you know, the heavens tremble as Zeus, wielding his thunderbolts and rend the skies, faces off against monstrous giants, the titanic fury shaking the very foundations of existence. Encounter the wild and fantastical stories of the gods and the mortals intertwining the tapestry of transformation and upheaval. We're going for a lot of upheaval, aren't we? So, behold, the nymphs turn to trees, the gods turn to stone, the mortals gifted with unimaginable powers, from tragic love stories of echoes of Narcissus to the epic heroic quests of mortals facing insurmountable odds. Each tale is a whirlwind of divine intervention and unfettered passion. Experience the chaos and beauty of creation, where the earth herself gives birth to gods and monsters, each embodying the untamed forces of nature. Will witness the wrath of Hera, the cunning of Athena, and the sheer might of Heracles, also known as Hercules. And you navigate the world with these actions and brevities and otherworldly consequences. So, when the gods are unleashed, we have a visual feast of wild and enchanting aspects of ancient Greece, from the myths, the mythos, which some claim the original etymology of myth, such as John Lamlash claims that the original etymology of mythos, myth, means sworn testament of kings and priests. So brace yourself for a journey beyond imagination, where gods turn all of the heavens to battlegrounds, monsters challenge the mightiest of heroes, and the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural blur in an awe-inspiring display of divine power and mystic wonder. Right? You've probably come across at some point in your life, if you're a Westerner, and I've heard some of the stories. I think most people have heard of Hercules. You know, he probably gets a lot of the credit, and we've all heard of Zeus and his thunderbolts. So, and then, you know, we see these Marvel heroes in the films these days and from the comics and stuff, and they're wielding some of these same kind of powers, and these people are based on some of these people. In fact, yeah, Marvel Comics does have Zeus in there, you know, and Thor and whatnot. That was in a recent movie for the Marvel stuff as well. They're both featured together. So, and Hercules, I think, is going to be planned to go after Thor in one of the upcoming movies. So, like I say, rather than looking at the Pantheon, because I think that's been sort of done to death, you can, you know, read about the Pantheon, this god came from that. And we'll cover a little bit of that. But I was thinking more let's look at the writers. Like say, like the podcasters of the day, the news reporters of the day, you know, the musicians singing the songs of the day kind of thing. Although these are all literary writers and they're classics. So hope you're ready for, yeah, let's have a look at this spooky history. There you go. Smoking a fine cigar. Good to know. I got some Havanas. Well, they're not really Havanas. They're self-made. Anyway, greetings. Ohio. Oh, nice. My mate Jay. He's in upstate New York. He's from over there. Ben, I was worried about that. You know, in trendy moments, I was really worried about you guys. In fact, we almost, it was looking bad. Almost came over to try and do some stuff because I thought Jay's got family over there and he's got spare rooms, and I nearly came over to like do these rooms up with Jay to make them livable, so the family could potentially come over. But it turns out it wasn't quite as bad as they were miles away, like really far away from there, right on the other side of the state. So I think no, it's okay. But yeah, that was a bit weird, wasn't it? Trendy romance. So maybe that's perhaps worth looking at. Maybe it'll have to be a bonus show, not on YouTube. But anywho, yeah, we'll come back to trains. But where we're going, we don't need rails, so we're going to ancient Greece. Little nicked a quote from Michael Strange there. Where we go, we don't need rails. But then again, he nicked it from Back to the Future, so it's old enough now where you can phrasemonger it. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so where we're going to start then? What we're going to do is I'm going to cover these main writers because a few months ago I got talking with Roger for the Mudfossil University. He talks about some specific writers, and so I set up a bit of a Discord for him. I don't think he's necessarily going to be using it or whatever, but I set it up ready because he plans to start teaching the classes in the future at some point, doing a proper university, because it seems our history, our chemistry, biology and physics, it seems like a science is starting to need rewriting, and I think our history is wrong. You know, so I thought let's have a look at a little bit of this stuff, and I'm going to focus on some of these same writers that Roger tends to focus on. So because I made him a Discord sort of page, I put some sections in with these writers. So from the Mudfossil University Discord, I'd already dropped some resources in there. There's a few of them to check out. There's Apollodorus, there's Herodotus, Ovid, and Hesiod. So we'll see how far we go. I haven't dropped Apollodorus in on this one yet, because I think it might be too long, but we'll sort of see. And then if we get to Apollodorus, I might jump on Roger's channel and find a video about it, because he's does a really good job of it. Give him a shout out. So, but to start with, though, yeah, we're going to start with Hesiod. We'll have a look at who's Hesiod. And yeah, we'll go through it. I mean, we've heard of some of these people. We've heard of Homer. Is famous Homer's Odysseys, and we've heard of people like Aristotle. Okay, but there's plenty of other writers at the time that were talking some really wild stuff, and then these are the same people in the same crowds of people. You know, so anyway, so let's get my share screen up. That's mostly going to be text, really. There's not really too much in the realms of funky pictures, but we'll just share this screen here so we can, for the video viewers, they'll be able to at least see some pictures of some of these guys. And what have we got here? Where are it? Hesiod. We'll go there first. So this guy, and we'll get off the screen because it makes my eyes twinkle. And we can zoom in if we do this. So Hesiod. This guy is for the video viewers, is a little bit of a picture. And so this guy flourished in 700 BCE. Okay, so Hesiod, around 700 BC, is one of the earliest Greek poets, which is why we're going to start with him. And he was also often called the father of Greek poetry or Greek didactic poetry. Two of his complete epics have survived. So that's, okay, let's just go back. So let's get myself back on screen. Right, this is the other thing about Greece I forgot to mention. The ancient Greeks, we've built our entire Western civilization based on their writings and the way they did things. However, what was left of the ancient Greeks, what they left, is about 1%. Scholars say it's about 1% of what they actually produced. Right, so we're basing everything on only 1% of what they left behind. I mean, who knows what the hell the rest of it was? It's all gone, been destroyed. Whether, through disaster, floods, intentional, whatever, it's just not there anymore. So we've got 1%. And we've managed to build all of this out of this 1%, these amazing ideas, we really revere them. But it's only 1% of what they left behind, So, yeah, just important to make that point, I think. And so, from Hesiod's works, there's only 2 books survived. Yeah. two of his complete epics have survived. Perhaps some fragments of other bits, but the two complete ones was the Thygogeny, relating to the myths of the gods, and the one called Works and Days, describing peasant life. So he's like he's a reporter of the time. Maybe that's the equivalent of his going to third world countries and writing about it, because there's a lot going off in Europe back in those days. But we're going to focus though on the first one that was mentioned, the surviving works, the epic of the Thygogeny. That's the one with the gods in there. And like I say, myth is claimed by some. If you check the etymology, which means to go in, it's the science of looking at the roots of where words come from and their original meanings. Some claim that myth means sworn testament of kings and priests. And as we go through this show, it will start to look ever so much more like that's essentially probably the thing. But anyhow, Greece then. So who was it? Who's this guy? So this is from Encyclopedia Britannica, just britannica.org, britannica.com. You'll find this, but links in the descriptions for this one. So the life of Hesiod. Hesiod. So Hesiod, life. Not a great deal is known about the details of Hesiod's life. He was a native of Boeotia, a district of Greece, to which his father had migrated from Simon in Asia Minor. So his father's come from Asia Minor to Greece. Hesiod may at first have been a rhapsodist, a professional reciter of poetry. So that they're saying, okay, Hesiod may at first have just been a person that would publicly read poems, learning the technique and vocabulary of the epic by memorizing, reciting heroic songs. So I suppose they're saying they think maybe he started out by learning the epics of the songs and then being able to do poetry because you know the songs, so you know the story from the songs, which incidentally, that storytelling and is a way that things can survive through history and keep getting passed down. And if you can write them into a song, then that's really great. You can remember a song, you can remember the tune to the song. So it's another layer of helping you to remember it. Even if you forget the lyrics, if you hear the tune, it might remind you of the lyrics. And even if you forgot the tune, once you start saying the song, it reminds you what the tune goes, how the melody goes, right? So then you've got like a double layer of remembering, much like if you write something down, it acts on a different part of your brain, which is another good way to help you remember, especially I learned that through martial arts. If you write down the moves, if you practice them in the real world with your physical body, and then physically write down the order of the moves and what you do, it helps you to remember them. It really does. It's weird. But anyhow, he himself, however, attributes his poetic gifts to the muses. So these were inspirations, like supposed to be inspirational deities that give you ideas, which is, I often think creativity feels a bit like, getting a download sometimes or whatever. Okay, so he himself attributes his poetic gifts to the muses who appeared to him while he was tending his sheep. Oh, so he literally had a visitation then while he was tending to his sheep, and claims that they gave him a poet's staff, which endowed him with the poet's voice. They bade him sing of the race of the blessed gods immortal. So he's had people say, oh, I might have just been doing a lot of reading poems in public, and that's how you got good at it. A bit like doing a podcast show at first. Perhaps you don't know what you're doing, you're still learning. After a while, you start to learn, the pacing and the cadence, and you might start to notice you're saying a lot of words often. So then you look for alternative words, so you're not repeating yourself a lot. And you refine your craft, don't you? But he's saying no. I mean, you could take credit. I mean, that'd be better. That'd make you look better, really. If you just took the credit and say, yeah, I wrote a few poems, got really good at it. How'd you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. I'm just good. You could have said I'm just good. But no, he himself is saying, no, I got a visitation. That's by some people who gave me a magic staff, basically, that makes me poem good. You know what I'm saying? I just wrote, hey, Jess, we're doing Greek gods, right? But we're not going to do the Pantheon. Oh, no. Oh no, we're going to see what the writers said, see what the reporters were saying back then. Know what I mean? Get the real skin in. Okay, right. So, I mean, you could take the credit, but he's essentially saying, I got visitation by the muses, give me a wizard staff that made me really good. I'll just read it again in the words of Britannica. He himself attributes his poetic gifts to the muses who appeared to him while he was tending to his sheep, giving him a poet's staff and endowing him with the poet's voice. They bade him sing of the races of the blessed gods immortal. Tell us about the story of all these things that you're seeing going off in the skies and the gods coming to earth and stuff. That is his epics. One renown during his lifetime is shown by his participation in the contest of songs at the funeral games of, I don't know how I'm going to say this, Amphidamas on the island of Ebuba. This, he says, was the only occasion on which he crossed the sea. But it's not likely to have been the only intervention he received from places other than his own hometown of Eskra, near Mount Helicon. Genuine works. Of Hesiod's two extant epics, the Theogony was clearly earlier. That was his first one. He's writing about the gods straight away. So he claims to have had some kind of visitation by some muses that gave him a special staff that helped him to be particularly good at writing and speaking poems out. And the first thing he wrote about was by the gods of the gods immortal, just like it was told to. So that kind of, in the modern context, kind of makes it look like you've had some kind of visitation. They've given you an item that somehow enhances your ability to do something and says, give this message to the world about the gods. Make sure you get the information out. So it's a bit like ET's coming and saying, man, you need to tell people about all these politicians because they're like gods to us these days, aren't they? Well, they're not, but I mean, they act like it and they've got that kind of like power dominion over us. That's how they're acting. And in fact, over the last few years ago, they was getting everyone in Britain to worship the doctors and nurses, weren't they? Every Wednesday and go outside and stand at your door and clap and bang pots and pans for, like thanking the heroes. And we've got on about this. You can't label yourself a hero, and it's not a heroic act going to work, is it? Whatever you're doing, that in itself isn't a heroic act, especially when you need the money and everyone else is being made jobless. So, do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, but anyway, genuine works of Hesiod. We'll go back. So that is first one. He did what he was told. He jumped straight in there and said, okay, I'll write about the gods then straight away and do poems about the gods. Anyway, moving on. In the following, the Muses' instructions, Hesiod recounts the history of the gods. So he goes straight in and does what he's told. He accounts the history of the gods, beginning with the emergence of chaos, or Gaia, and Eros. So you've got chaos, Gaia, aka the earth, and then Eros. Gaia gives birth to Uranus, the heaven, the mountains, and Pontus, the sea. So he's saying the earth emerges as one of these three gods that start. She gives birth to Uranus and the mountains and the sea. So that's a bit weird, isn't it? Because we think of Gaia as the planet Earth and it's called Earth. But can she birth another planet then? I don't know. Uranus she can make the mountains, and I suppose she can make the sea, I suppose, by the shape of the land, which then allows for the sea to be there, where the water's going to be able to sit, have a basin for it. So, and it says later here, after uniting herself with Uranus, so she births Uranus and then unites with Uranus. What's that? But it says later, after uniting herself with Uranus, she bears many other deities. Right, so is that the Earth mates with Uranus, who's her son, and then you end up with Titans? What, isn't that a bit incestuous? I know they kind of did a lot of that back in the day, but I don't know. It seems weird, doesn't it? And so by doing that, you get the Titans. She births other deities, and one of them is the Titan Kronos. Okay, so I suppose he's come from a batch of kids that are Titans, And Kronos comes from this. And Kronos rebels against Uranus, who's technically going to be his dad then, and emasculates him, and afterwards rules. So he kicks him out, goes against his dad, gets rid of him. Did that in the back in the day, didn't they? In Roman times and stuff. And then goes on to rule. He goes on, takes over Uranus. So he rebels against Uranus, emasculates him, and afterwards rules until he, in turn, is overpowered by Zeus. This story of crime and revolt, which is the central subject of the theogony. Okay, this story of crime and revolt, which is the central subject of theogony, is interrupted by many additional pedigrees of gods. So there's loads of gods in this, all kind of interfering in this stuff going on. Elsewhere, in addition to mythical family relations, Hesiod presents new ones that are the product of his own speculation. Okay, so he's trying to figure it out like we would. We'd read the facts, trust the science, we'd do all that, wouldn't we? And then we'd put up, we'd speculate on stuff and say, well, maybe that's this, because you can't kind of get to all the answers, can you? So that's natural. So Hesiod presents new ones that are a product of his own speculation. Thus, the names of the 50 sea maidens, the Nereids, fathered by the sea gods, Nereus, indicate various qualities of the sea. In a different way, the story describing the first woman, Pandora, sent by Zeus to bedevil man, brings out Hesiod's firm belief in the supreme and irresistible power of Zeus. This power is most majestically displayed in the Titanomachia, the battle between the Olympian gods, led by Zeus, and the Titans, who support Kronos. So Zeus was fighting the Titans. That's why you get the Clash of the Titans thing. Okay. And this comes in really important because I've got some special information about Zeus that we're going to get to towards the end of the show. And it's going to be sounding pretty crazy. But in reality, technically, if you want, you can go and verify this stuff. And when I say verify, I don't mean go on some website where someone says it's true. I mean you listening, you watching, can personally go and verify whether these things are true. And I'm going to tell you how to do it at the end. Now, you can go and do it. It's up to you. But I'm telling the whole world now that you, if you want, can go and verify whether these things are true. Okay? And somebody already has. Some world leaders, no, I don't mean world politician leaders. I mean some world leaders in being able to find this information. Yeah, world-class people that are able to find information, tell you how to do it. And I'm going to tell you at the end of the show, because it's just a thing. It's not a trick. We can go and find this stuff out for ourselves. So that's why I always say, do your own homework. Check it for yourself, Anyway, talking of checking it for yourself, I should be checking the clock. I've got to go for a quick break. Although we might stop doing the breaks soon next year because there's stuff coming up with Troubled Minds Radio Network. Things are sort of changing, moving thick and fast. So, but for now, though, I'm just going to drop in a little track because we're supposed to be being all pro and doing breaks and stuff. And I need to go and make another drink anyway. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to say, just bear with us for a few minutes on the Echo and Narcissus podcast. We'll just take a quick break so I can get another drink. And yes, we'll be back talking about the Titans, a bit more about Hesiod. We'll get into what these writers are saying and why it's so, kind of wild and why I wanted to sort of cover it, and we'll sort of blast through it. So it's back in a few minutes, folks. It's after these short messages.
I'm reaching out. Boom, boom. Reaching out. Making me crazy. I'm reaching out. Boom, 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 boom.
You're tuned into Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we contemplate the mysteries of the cosmos through the lens of philosophy, magic, and more. It's time to talk about a very serious matter. Are you prepared for an alien invasion? It may seem like something out of a sci-fi movie, but the threat may be very real. And that's why the Galactic Alliance is here to help. With our state-of-the-art technology and top-of-the-line defense systems, we're ready to take on any extraterrestrial threat that comes our way. But we can't do it alone. We need your help, citizens of the galaxy. So if you see something suspicious, say something. Report any strange activity to your local Galactic Alliance outpost immediately. And if you want to be extra prepared, sign up for our Alien Defense Training Program. Learn how to use a laser blaster, navigate through space, and communicate with alien species. Who knows? You might even make some new alien friends along the way. So remember, stay vigilant, stay prepared, and together we can keep our galaxy safe. A public service announcement from the Galactic Alliance.
Hi, this is Liam Martin of the Exile Minds podcast, and you're listening to the network that never stops seeking Troubled Minds Radio, KUAP Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to Troubled Minds. Join us as we discuss an upside-down world that nobody seems to notice.
You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where the strange is just another day at the office, and the unexplained is our playground.
It's alive, waiting. Now clear your minds.
I live in the weak and the wounded.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
I just can't take no pleasure in killing. Just some things you gotta do.
7 days. Shed innocent blood. What's blood for? If not for shedding.
There's nothing to worry about. It could be just fine. I'm my number one fan.
She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes. Lying, pale, emotion. I say, girls, did you know I'm utterly insane?
You know, it's Halloween.
Nothing to worry about. It could be just fine. I'm my number one fan.
She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes.
It was an excellent day for an exorcism.
Like I say, girls, did you know I'm utterly insane?
Do you know what the most frightening thing in the world is? It's fear.
Have you checked the children?
How do you know my name? I didn't tell you my name. Hang up. I didn't tell him my name.
No, whatever you do, don't fall asleep. I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid.
No, be afraid. Be very afraid.
Stay on the road. Clear to the moors. Beware the moonlights.
They must have come at night. Most. I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them.
It's pretty chill, isn't it?
The blackest eyes.
What do we do?
Why don't we just wait here for a little while and see what happens?
Creepy music. But that's how I like to make my music. Really creepy. Yay. Anywho, in the chat, let's give a shout out. Well, firstly, thank you for being with us on the break there on the Exile Minds podcast. Talking about the Greek gods and the stories of madness and whether or not they could be true. Because it, like we've mentioned at the beginning of the show, mythos, some claim that the etymology of that word means sworn testament to kings and priests. I think at this point it's quite brazenly obvious that we're getting lied to about a lot of things. Dig it down, and I think we're gonna have to we're gonna have to rewrite things. Loads of history's wrong, loads of stuff wrong. I mean, even just the Graham Hancock stuff with there's plenty of evidence now to show that an ancient and advanced civilization survived the last ice age. Okay, meltwater pulse 1b, around 15,000 years ago. Yeah, northern hemisphere, multiple asteroids hit, big flood. Suddenly, some people survived. And then we have these stories of Atlantis, and they scholars roll their eyes in that, but it's mentioned over and over again, and they're given exact dates. They're given exact dates in multiple cultures. So, and that's just another thing. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about UFOs now. Okay, instead let's look at the Christian stuff. We've got angels and demons, and it looks very much like, reptilians and Pleiadians, doesn't it? So how long has this been going? Crop circle's been going for centuries. Lights in the sky, so that's why I'm wondering about these gods. So going back to, Hesiod then. So Hesiod was talking about, he says he got like a kind of magical visitation, given magical staff, meaning good at poetry, and he went straight in there talking about the gods because that's what he was told to do. And I think if that were me, if I got some kind of visitation and someone gave me a magical artifact and said, your job is to go and talk about this, I'd be doing a freaking podcast, wouldn't I? You know what I'm saying? So, do what you're told. Anyway, I'm going to start reading some of my script because I did take the time to write one. And let's do it then. Because originally I thought, I'll just get the works of Hesiod, Ovid, and Apollodorus, and I'll just read them all. And then I realised that there's loads. It would take ages. I have to go to the library and get these loads, stacks and stacks of books and just sit here reading. And I want the funky stories. So I thought, get the computer to just help me out a bit, and we'll just pick out some of we'll just break it down into the main stuff. So the works of Hesiod. Hesiod then basically, like we say, was an ancient Greek poet who lived around the 8th century to early 7th century BCE. He was known for two major works, let's say the Work of the Days and the Theogony. The Theogony was an epic poem that delves into the genealogy and the origins of the Greek gods and the universe itself. It narrates the creation of the world, the birth of the gods, the struggles, we talked about, of power of the divine beings and the gods, the struggling amongst themselves, and the embellishment of the cosmic order. It's a fundamental work in Greek mythology, providing insights into the ancient Greeks' beliefs and their gods and the universe. Let me just... Sorry about that. There's a little clicking in the background. I thought it might just be a dodgy connection on the old mic cable there, so hopefully it'll go in. But it's a fundamental work in Greek mythology, providing insights into the ancient Greeks' beliefs about their gods and the universe. Both works are incredibly influential in understanding ancient Greek thought, cultural and religious beliefs. They have had a lasting impact on subsequent Western literature and philosophy. Yeah, massive, massive impact. Because what they've actually been doing is, like I say, we've built just about everything based on the back of what they said. So, I don't know. Seems... if we're looking up to them to build everything from what they say, then I would argue that we need to be taking all of it seriously. All of it should be taken seriously, because you can't throw the baby out of the bathwater. Anyway. And it's all right saying, like I make the point, 99% of it's gone, destroyed. We've got 1% left. And 1% of that 1%, we're saying, this is ridiculous. But we'll take everything else. And I just think that's something up there. Something up with that. So let's look at some of the basic categories then, and we'll just go through. We'll look at the Titans straight away. So the Titanomachy, Hesiod's Theogony narrates the Titanomachy, a colossal battle between the Titans, who were the elder gods, and the Olympians, who were the children of those elder gods, and they were led by Zeus. And they've basically fought for control of the universe. Well, that sounds a bit big, doesn't it? It's not just control of the planet. It's like we're talking control of space, sort of thing. So this is big deal stuff. Okay, those are quite epic. All right, so the Titans, the elder gods, have been, and the Olympians fight for control of the universe. It's an epic clash where the younger Olympians overthrow the older generation of Titans to establish their own reign. So the Titans are a race of powerful ancient gods in Greek mythology, preceding the
came before the Olympian gods, obviously, because they're the kids. They were children, so they were children of Gaia, Uranus, Gaia the earth, Uranus the sky, as we mentioned. And the Titans ruled during a golden age, a time of prosperity and peace. Oh, because I've always had the impression that the Titans, you think of them, I thought of them as like kind of bad and mean and giants and stuff, but no, as a prosperity and peace. And then in the Zeus times, who ultimately led the rebellion against them, the Olympians, and they won out, the Zeus times don't seem to have been very peaceful at all. There seemed to be a heck of a lot of slavery going on there. In fact, Greek, that was what they was doing back then. There was a load of slavery. Ancient Greece, ancient Rome, there's a load of slavery going on. So, loads of it during that era. So that don't sound like a time of peace and prosperity, does it? Not to me. So is it that the Olympians weren't that nice? I wonder. Anyway, moving on then to the Titans, important Titans. Kronos, spelled with a K or a C. Kronos, his most well-known Titan. Kronos overthrew his father, Uranus, who was the son of Gaia. So he overthrew Uranus with the help of his mother, Gaia. So obviously Gaia's gone against Uranus then. I guess one of the sons. So maybe he's a bad guy, whatever. So, yeah. So he then ruled the cosmos, Kronos did. He was in charge, and the same was time of peace and prosperity. Kronos was notorious for fearing a prophecy that his own children would overthrow him, leading him to swallow his offspring. His son Zeus eventually defeated him. Okay. We had Rhea, Kronos' sister and wife. So, again, more incest there. Rhea was the mother of all the Olympians. So the Olympian gods, Mother Rhea, she hid Zeus when she had Zeus from Kronos so he wouldn't get eaten. And later, he obviously played a pivotal role in overthrowing the Titans. So, she hid Zeus from Kronos so he wouldn't get eaten. And later she played a pivotal role in overthrowing the Titans. Oceanus and Tethys. Oceanus represented the river that enriched the world and was the father of all rivers. Tethys, the sister and wife, again, was associated with fresh water. So they're the two sort of water gods. Oceanus would be like the saltwater god, and Tethys is going to be the freshwater god. And you got Hyperion and Thea as well. So Hyperion was associated with light and was the father of Helios, the sun. So he brought the light, he brought the sun. And Selene, the moon. And Eros, the dawn. And so his wife Thea, she was more associated with like light as well, but shining brilliance, like bedazzlement, bling bling. She was the god of bling. If you think about it, bringing it. Okay, so we've got these gods then, and we've got one more major titan as well, which is called Mnemencia. Mnemencia was the goddess of memory and the mother of the 9 muses who inspired creativity in the arts and sciences. So that's interesting then. So when Hesiod says the muses came to visit him, that was in the time of these titans then. And things were supposed to be nice and good until Zeus came along, threw him over, and then it wasn't, and I presume they want a time of peace and prosperity anymore because there's a lot of slavery. So you got to wonder. But anyway, moving on, the legacy then of the Titans. Although the Titans were defeated, they held a significant place in Greek mythology. Some were associated with natural elements or abstract concepts. Their imprisonment marked the transition from the reign of the Titans to the era of the Olympians who ruled the cosmos. The Titans are prominent figures in Greek mythology, symbolizing elemental forces and aspects of the natural world, serving as predecessors to the more familiar Olympian deities, as I mentioned. So like I say, it sounds a bit like the ET stuff to me. So, considering the stuff we know now, and it's okay to talk about it, like I say, you got to wonder what's the deal here. So how exactly did Zeus manage to defeat Kronos is the question next then. So how Zeus's victory over Kronos came about as part of that titanomachi, the epic war between the Titans and the Olympians. It was a conflict that arose due to that prophecy of Kronos' children overthrowing him. It prompted Kronos, like say, to swallow all of his offspring to prevent the fate. However, because Zeus's mother managed to save him and hide him away, then there was a rise to power of Zeus. Zeus grew up in secrecy, and when he reached maturity, he returned to confront Kronos. So he waited to become a man and probably trained. He's probably training up and stuff, you know what I mean? And of course, this is like ancient Greek stuff, and they're famous for having the Spartans. So you can imagine, and they were hardcore. They were, possibly some of the best fighters we've ever made. Okay. Arguably, at least ones we know about. So yeah, so if it was at the kind of era, yeah, he's probably trained, got really tough. It feels like a real person that was like human and whatnot. But apparently, what it says here is that he grew up in secrecy. When he reached maturity, he returns to confront Kronos. He allied with the gods and beings, including his siblings, who were also, they were regurgitated by Kronos after Zeus's rescue. Because he's already swallowed the manta, he's already swallowed the others. Do you know what I'm saying? So I suppose before they've decomposed, or maybe it was soon after, maybe a bunch of them got born at the same time, and she sneaked one away, and some of his siblings got it, and then Kronos ended up regurgitating him, which is why they can exist. And these are the Cyclopses and the Hecatoncheires. So the Cyclopses, we've heard of the Cyclopses. The Hecatoncheires, it said giants with 50 heads and 100 hands as the Hecatoncheires thing. I know how to say that word. You notice I didn't struggle with that one because I've heard of Hecatoncheires in the films Appleseed, where a guy's cyborg basically has been battered in war, so they turn him into an awesome cyborg and he's got like extra arms, and they call it a Hecatoncheires suit. So that's what happened to that one. So yeah, you got these kind of sound monstrous beings to us, but yeah, that's what we had back in the day. And we had dinosaurs, which seemed monstrous to us. You know, read the Bible, description of the angels. Oh my gosh, they are hideous. You know, and then we've got the H.P. Lovecraft stuff. Some of these giant slovenly creatures are unspeakable, and your mind collapses into madness when you look at them. So, careful what you wish for. But anyway, getting back to Zeus. Zeus had a strategy though. So Zeus, and bearing in mind he's got some siblings to help him that have been regurgitated by Kronos. It goes on to say there's a big colossal battle. Yeah, I've heard about this. It was a fierce conflict that lasted 10 years. So they were at it for a while. So this was like a long-term war, I suppose a bit like World War II or World War One. You know, it's a long, drawn out kind of war over 10 years. So I'd probably relate it more to World War One because that was just trenched. You were getting inches, just inches and inches further. It's horrible war of attrition, like. But Zeus and his strategy, Zeus and his allies received aid from the Cyclopses, who were his siblings, kind of regurgitated, and they gifted him with powerful weapons. Okay, and that gave him his thunderbolts, and the helmet of invisibility for Hades, and the trident for Poseidon. These weapons significantly strengthen their forces. The final battle, so they've got artifacts that's been given to them by other people. If you think about it, because I'm thinking about it in modern terms, in kind of alien terms, ET terms, So now Hesiod was an actual real human being who says he was basically given a wizard staff that made him good at poetry. Now he's talking about the gods. How were the children of the Titans able to overthrow him? One, because Zeus was hidden away. Two, because for some reason Kronos sicked up. He bathed up some of the siblings he had, so he had some extra allies. And it just so happens that some of them were pretty good at making weapons or had access to weapons in some way, which kind of makes it look a bit like ET stuff to me. That's the angle I'm looking at with this. So the Cyclopses then made these weapons which significantly strengthen the forces, which makes it sound like these are epic weapons, doesn't it? And, you know, Zeus's thunderbolt was supposed to be pretty epic, right? And the power of lightning, like Thor in the Marvel movies, that'd be useful, wouldn't it? And we know that Zeus is supposed to have a flying chariot, so he could fly as well. So what's that? Is that a UFO? You know, because it's not really a horse and cart, is it? If it's going across the sky. Unless you're Wonder Boy. Taking you back. Showing my age there. Anyway, but the final battle. In the decisive battle, Zeus unleashed his thunderbolt, a devastating weapon created by the Cyclopses. He used it to vanquish Kronos and the Titans, eventually defeating them and casting them into Tartarus, a deep abyss within the underworld. And in the aftermath of the defeat of Kronos and the Titans, Zeus and the Olympian gods emerged victorious. So he beat Kronos and the Titans. Zeus and the Olympian gods emerged victorious, establishing the rule over the cosmos. So they ruled in the skies. So what does that mean, the cosmos? Does that mean they're ruling the galaxy? They're ruling this star system? I'd say galactic, right? Zeus became the ruler of the heavens. Poseidon became the ruler of the seas. And Hades took dominion over the underworld. That sounds like splitting up the spoils of war. That's what you did after wartime. You know, the winners get to, you know, you get this, you get this country, you get that one, you know, whatever. You get these resources, you get that ones. So, yeah, this split the spoils of war, just like after the Second World War. You guys in America, you got the physicists and the rocket people. Over there in Russia, who aren't traditionally, if you check the history, invading anybody, they're not starting trouble, and nobody ever beats them, by the way. Historically, so Russia after the Second World War, they got the mystics. So you get the rocket people, they got the mystics, and Britain got all the head doctors. Great. We got screwed on that one then, didn't we? Oh, I'd rather have mystics. You know, or rockets are cool, but don't know about these head doctors. We've got all those guys. But anyhow, so yeah, split the spoils of war is the point there. Is a side controversial side note. But yeah, Zeus's victory in the Titanic secured the reign of Olympian gods and marked the transition from the ruling of the Titan era to the ruling of the Olympian era. And if you remember, I keep going back, they said during the Titan era, it was a time of peace and prosperity. And then these new people take over. That makes them look not so good. Hesiod mentions Prometheus as well. That's where this comes from, Hesiod, the Prometheus story. He was a Titan known for stealing fire from the gods. But hang on. Okay. He's a Titan. Think about it. Let me just read it again. Prometheus. Hesiod's works mention Prometheus, a Titan known for stealing fire from the gods and giving it to humans. Well, he's already a god himself. He's a Titan. Does it mean stealing it from the other Titans then? Or is this Titan not as godly as the other gods? How godly do you get? You're god or not? Right? That's how it looks like, different forces and different levels of technology to me. You think about it in a contemporary fixture. But anyway, Hesiod mentions Prometheus, who is a Titan for stealing it and giving it to man. So what's he giving in? What's he giving to humanity? Is it what? Giving us fire, giving us the ability to do stuff for ourselves, to be self-sufficient, right? And it's seen as a crime, right? Sounds a little bit like Eve eating that apple of knowledge, isn't it? Oh, it's a very naughty. You shouldn't do that. Don't do it. Oh no! Oh god! Now you eat this apple, you'll become as us. You'll know like we do. So you eat it, you read the conspiracy stuff, and then boom, you're supposed to be bad. But in this case, the same Prometheus shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have given the god powers to the humans. So what's he giving us to us, really? Is it the power of fire and that self-sufficiency able to take care of yourself? Do you know what I'm saying? So is this an ET trying to help us out? Because this, you know, well, I don't know. So, but what it led to in the Greek mythos is that it led to Prometheus being punished severely, very severely, and having his liver eaten daily by an eagle every day. So what's that? Is that a bit like if you watch Stargate, the Stargate franchise? There's that sarcophagus where they can torture you until you die, put you in the sarcophagus, resurrect you, and then torture you again The same in Blade Runner, the film Blade, Wesley Snipes, where the vampires can bite you, turn you into a vampire. If you're a vampire, you know, you can recover from the injuries. So you can torture somebody to get information out of them and then bite them so they'll come back as a vampire and then torture them again and then till you're nearly dead and then let you recover and torture you again. And like a horrible, never-ending punishment kind of stuff. So that's pretty dark, you know. And this is from Hesiod is also where we get the story of Pandora's box, which it wasn't actually a box, it was a jar. And another thing, Hesiod wrote about the coronation of Pandora, the first woman, Eve again, right, at the command of Zeus. So he says, I'll make this woman. But then Pandora was sent as a punishment to humanity. So this is how we're getting punished. Well, we've got fire now, so we'll create Pandora and we'll give her this jar with this bad crap in it and we'll say, go amongst men. And we know she's going to open it out of curiosity and it's going to let a load of crap out. It's going to hurt humanity. That kind of sounds like a vial, doesn't it? It want a box and it's let all badness out. That sounds like a pestilence or something. Yeah, I'll give her that and tell her to not open it, knowing that she's gonna. It's like when you say to someone, don't look over there, but here's Jimmy, that guy who did the thing. And you just, your brain doesn't hear yes or no because it's not judgmental, your unconscious mind. It just hears look over there. That's why you feel the need to look as soon as somebody says don't look over there, because your unconscious mind can't hear the don't or do. It just hears the main information, which is why speaking like Yoda is a really good way to talk to yourself, because you're saying the main thing first. Push me, do not. You know, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Learn much you must. The main thing out of that saying is learning much. Say it straight away. The rest of it might be a blur, but get the main thing at the beginning. That's why he talks like that. And then Hesiod also, he talks about the ages of man and the peasants and stuff in his works and days. The concept of the ages of man depicting different stages of humanity. That can be like different maturation stages. And in these stages, it includes, you know, the golden age, the silver age, the bronze age, the heroic age, the iron age. You know, he's illustrating all these epochs. You know, we've gone through the atomic age, through the information age, firmly into the kind of digital age. And now we're going into, I don't know what you call it now. But I always say this, in Bronze Age, the primary technology and weapon of war was bronze. In the Iron Age, the primary technology and weapon of war was iron. In the Atomic Age, the primary technology and weapon of war was atomic weapons and atomic power. So let me ask you this. What's the primary weapon and technology in the information age? What do you think that is? It's information. It's why there's a perception war going on. And a massive, ridiculously unprecedented censorship, because it's an information war, right? The same as it was a bronze war or an iron war. You know, that's how it works. But anyway, I'm going to do another little break. We'll make it a shorter one this time because I'm trying to be pro all radio stuff. Make nice, neat little packages. And I didn't realize how much the time's flying. So we'll just do another quick little break and then we'll start getting onto some of these other epics and yeah, and we'll have a quick look at one of Roger's videos. So just bear with me while we go for this quick break.
The Troubled Minds.
A few short messages, starting off with James Salcedo from Salcedo Paranormal. I'll see you after the break.
And the cosmic in our quest to uncover the unknown.
House Oversight Committee did vow to open hearings about UFOs.
Some of the latest research.
Have you ever been called out as a weirdo, a misfit, or an outcast because you nerd out on topics like ghosts, extraterrestrials, conspiracy theories, cryptids, or anything that isn't mainstream? Do you love exploring different theories, both known and perhaps unknown? If so, join Serena on the Paranormal and Proud podcast and take a journey and see if these topics have more rabbit holes and explained away conclusions by the mainstream. In fact, why not explore yourself? Indeed, why not explore together? Shall we? Tune in
to the Paranormal and Proud podcast with your host Serena on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting.
Environmentalists don't give a shit about the planet. They don't care about the planet. Not in the abstract, they don't. You know what they're interested in? A clean place to live. Their own habitat. They're worried that someday in the future they might be personally inconvenienced. Narrow, unenlightened self-interest doesn't impress me. Besides, there is nothing wrong with the planet. Nothing wrong with the planet. The planet is fine. The people are well, different. The planet is fine. The planet is doing great. It's been here 4.5 billion years. Did you ever think about the arithmetic? The planet has been here 4.5 billion years. We've been here what? Maybe 200,000.
Watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be.
Environmentalists don't give a shit.
We know things are bad, worse than bad.
And we've only been engaged in heavy industry for a little over 200 years. 200 years versus 4.5 billion. And we have the conceit to think that somehow we're a threat, that somehow we're going to put in jeopardy this beautiful blue-green ball that's just floating around the sun.
They're crazy, just like everything everywhere is going crazy.
Been through all kinds of things worse than us. Been through earthquakes, volcanoes, plate tectonics, continental drifts, solar flares, sunspots, magnetic storms, the magnetic reversal of the poles, hundreds of thousands of years of bombardment by comets and asteroids and meteors, worldwide floods, tidal waves, worldwide fires, erosion, cosmic rays, recurring ice ages, and we think some plastic bags and some aluminum cans are going to make a difference?
Please, at least leave us alone in our living room.
Just leave us alone in our living rooms. They won't, will they? They'll send you text messages and push notifications. Clickbait. Anyway. Get away from the politics. And let's get back to the show, Eggs and Minds podcast. Thanks for bearing with us for the break there. And let's just quick check the chat. I don't think I've been checking it so much. Coffee refill time, yes. Get your black coffee. I'll hang on for you. I've got my coffee here. In fact, I've got two. Look at that, look. Drinking in stereo. Stereo, baby. Somebody still loves you. High fidelity stereo. Anyway, I'm your host, Liam Martin, Eggs and Minds podcast. Covering today on the show, episode 51. I've got the Greek gods and some of the stories of madness, some of the crazy stuff. This stuff all sounds weird to me. And yeah, we're going to go on a bit more. We're trying to blast through it now because we've been on it for an hour. So, and I've got an hour left. So let's get through this quick because I've already got through anything. So I've had a look at some of the works of Hesiod. So now we're going to move on to Ovid. We'll quickly share this screen here. Let's get another one from Encyclopedia Britannica. Get me off the screen there so people can see it if they want to. Right, Ovid. Okay, so Ovid. Why was Ovid important? Because Ovid wrote some really strange stuff about metamorphosis, which I want to focus on. So just a quick little from Encyclopedia Britannica, Britannica.com. We'll just have a quick overview of who Ovid is. So Ovid dates back to 43 BCE from the Sulmo Roman Empire. So this is and died in Italy in 17 CE. Okay, so right. He was a Roman poet, noted especially for his Ars Amatoria and Metamorphosis. Okay, and Metamorphosis is really creepy, this stuff, and there's loads of Italian statues that show this weirdness. There was a few of them. I don't know what the names of them are, and it's Italian and stuff, so I haven't really been able to find many. But Roger Spurs caught a few, so I'm going to at some point. I might check back some of his videos if I can find some. Maybe they'll show on just on trying to find some of these statues, because some freaky ass statues that I'll tell you, if you can find them, just pictures on Google Images. I'm telling you that I've seen the like metamorphosis is when when things morph from one thing into the other, morph from one form to another. When you get transformed, but it's like in a freaky way. As there's loads of these freaky, this beautiful Italian statues carved in marble. You've seen the David and stuff. There's some amazing stuff, but they got some creepy ass statues of people turning from one thing into another. You know, and they like look like they're in pain, like screaming and stuff. And like, and I've seen one where there's a guy's like he's crawling out of his bottom half has been turned to like an insect or some monstrous thing, and his facial expression is a bit like, "What have you done to me?" kind of thing. And it's like, duh, I don't know, you know. But it gets really weird because I'm thinking if these are ETs and stuff, and they've got these technologies and they're all fighting each other, what kind of things have they got? What kind of horrid weapons are they using on each other? Because we haven't been around that long, you know. And if someone's had, 100,000 years longer than us to develop, or maybe 500,000 years or 1,000,000 years, they're going to cause some crazy stuff. The things we got now that we speculate in the military, if the military showed them, they look just like pea shooters to some stuff. So, you know. But anyway, the official narrative from Encyclopedia Britannica, the life of Ovid, Roman poet from Italy, that era, noted especially for these works and the metamorphosis, what we're going to focus on. And his verse had immense influence in both by his imaginative interpretations of classical myth and as an example of supreme technical accomplishment. Okay, so his full name is Publius Ovidus Naso. It says like most Roman men of letters, he was born in Sulmo, so he's obviously a tradition of being good writers from there. Okay, it's a small town about 90 miles east of Rome. The main events in his life are described in an autobiography poem by Tristia. It's called Sorrows, which, that's intriguing. It's called Sorrows. His family was old and respectable and sufficiently well-to-do for his father to be able to have sent him and his elder brothers to Rome to be educated. So he was from a writing place, well-to-do, from a sort of noble family, and gets sent to Rome to the best colleges to get taught, to be educated in Rome. So at Rome, he embarked under the best teachers of the day on the studies of rhetoric. Ovid was thought to have the makings of a good orator, as in oral, orate, a good narrator. The saying he was going to be a good speaker and from a great writing community. But in spite of his father's dominations, he neglected his studies, despite all of the support. It says he neglected his studies for the verse writings that came so naturally to him, because he was good at writing verses, so he didn't really bother learning much more. You can do that if you're good at stuff. You think, I don't really need to do the homework on that. You kind of do it, don't you? You're not supposed to. But it happens because you think, well, I've already got that bit. I'll focus on other stuff, sort of thing. So, which is kind of the Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee philosophy. So, But as a member, it was right. So, as a member of the Roman knightly class, whose rank lay between the commons and the Senate, as a high class, Ovid was marked by his position and intended by his father. That's what his aim. His aim to go high for an official career. First, however, he spent some time in Athens, then a favourite finishing school for young men in the upper classes, and he travelled to Asia Minor and Sicily. Afterwards, he dutifully held some minor judicial posts just to do his duty, the first steps to getting on the official ladder. But he soon decided that public life did not suit him. From then on, he abandoned his official career to cultivate poetry and the Society of Poets. So the Poet Society, Ovid, his grandfather, in a sense. So yeah, Ovid, first works were the Loves, the Amours, the Loves, had an immediate success and was followed by following a rapid succession by some other writings. Okay, so they liked his stuff. It was all good. Okay, they said that reflecting the brilliant and sophisticated pleasure-seeking society in which he moved. The common theme for those early poems was love and amorous intrigue, but it is unlikely that they mirror Ovid's own daily life very closely. Okay, he wasn't really living like that. Of his 3 marriages, the first 2 were short-lived, but his third wife, of whom he speaks with respect and affection, remained constant to him until his death. So, third time lucky, he got a wife who stood by him, even though he didn't want to get on the official ladder and he wanted to do the writings. At home, Ovid enjoyed friendship and encouragement from Marcus Messala, the patron of the circle that included the poets Albius Tibullus. Albius Tibullus was another poet, a famous one. So anyway, Ovid knew him only for a short time before his untimely death. Ovid's father's friends included poets Horatio and Sextus Propertius, and the Gomamarian Hyginus. Okay, so that's what the official source says about Ovid. He wanted to be a writer. He wanted to tell the poems a bit, much like Hesiod, really. He wanted to tell the stories, is what he wanted to do. So, and it's like being pushed, it's like being groomed. I try to always zoom back and try and put these in historical context, see how they fit for this dot-to-dot picture stuff that we have to try and figure out. So, in contemporary times, that's the equivalent of like being groomed to be one of these top banking families to be a top banker, or be groomed to be a top politician. But he's wanted to be a free thinker. This I read into his story. And his father's pushing him, and they got the money from a well-to-do family, but he don't kind of want any of that in the end. They can do it. He got on the ladder, but no, he wants to be writing about these epic stories. Okay. And it's crazy because I'll just get to it. Let's get to this script. I'll blast through it quick. So the themes of transformation and his metamorphosis, this is what he's writing about the most, and this is the most intriguing bit with Ovid. So he's taking a crazy Ivan. He's moving away from the things he was the path other people trying to put him on, and he's thought, screw it, I'm going to write about this crazy stuff. So he's gone off, and it's a bit like he's gone off to be a conspiracy theorist in modern terms, right? Okay, so give me his dues, man. Give some kudos. So Ovid, Metamorphosis, is a masterpiece of Latin literature, an epic narrative of poems that consist of 15 books and over 250 myths. So he did his work, man. He put his work in. It's a compendium of transformations detailing various myths and legends from the creation of the world of Julius Caesar's times. Okay. So it's talking about the creation of the world in the times of Julius Caesar, and it's super wild and epic. Metamorphosis. It's almost like, say, it became a conspiracy theorist to try and tell people this now it's more like this, and this crazy stuff was happening and that. So I'll just get me off screen there. I'll just get a picture of him up just for the video viewers, just while I read through this quick little bit of a spiel. I'll see if we can get him on screen. There we are. All right, then, just for the video people, and what I'll do is I'll just read for this script that I got for it. So, Metamorphosis, yeah, masterpiece, 250 myths from Latin literature, okay, during Julius Caesar's times. So, just waiting for my computer to catch up, because I can't scroll down the page. It will be there in a minute. Anyway, I'll just keep reading until it catches up. Oh, there we go. Right, yeah, sorry about that. I keep getting adverts jumping up in front of me. Okay, so Metamorphosis, the structure. Each story in Metamorphosis revolves around the theme of transformation or metamorphosis, where beings or objects change their form. Ovid weaves together these stories, connecting them through the theme of change. Okay, so he's linking it to the themes of change. Yeah, changing, transforming from one thing to another. But no, he was also talking literally objects and people, beings being transformed in some way. It's not just a case of, talking metaphorical. Okay, so transformation was a prominent theme. And he's talking about into metamorphosis itself. It's exploring how individuals change physically, emotionally, or spiritually too. Now, love themes, love and desire are reoccurring motifs, often leading to transformations. We're talking passion and vigor, aren't we, and stuff. Of love, impassioned things that you care about, or emotively charged stuff, right? So love and desire, reoccurring motifs, often leading to transformations. Many stories depict the consequences of unrequited love or the pursuit of forbidden passions, right? Hubris and divine retribution. The consequences of challenging the gods or displaying excessive pride, hubris, are common threads throughout the tales. The notable stories are that of creation. Ovid recounts the creation of the world and the origins of humankind and the early history of the universe. It's also got the story of Daphne and Apollo. Daphne, a nymph, is transformed into a laurel tree to escape Apollo's advances. Okay. We're going to jump back to that one because I need to mention something about her turning herself into a tree. Okay, then we've got Echo and Narcissus, as in we're Narcissus. So Narcissus is narcissism. Okay, so Echo and Narcissus. Echo, cursed by Hera, can only repeat what others say, as in Echo. She can only repeat what others say. Narcissus, consumed by self-love, falls in love with his own reflection and turns into the narcissus flower. So he'd been transformed into a flower and transformed into a tree. Pygmalion and Galatea. The sculptor Pygmalion falls in love with his statue he creates, and it is brought to life by Venus. So he turns the statue to life, Galatea. And so, presumably they go off and marry then. So you turn a stone statue into a real living being person. Think about that. Turning a stone statue into an inanimate thing into a living being. I mean, turning a living being into stone seems like a tough one, right? But that comes up, doesn't it? Which we'll get to. So turning someone into stone, but you can't turn stone into a person, surely. But isn't that like making a clay man and making it come real, like the Bible? Right? Right? So all across history, the ancient Greeks and in the Bible, and these epic tales, and some of this Greek stuff crosses over with Middle Eastern stuff as well, and they write about it too in Islam. In fact, in Islam, but yeah, anyway, they've got some stuff about Jesus that's interesting that the Hindus claim. Right? They say Jesus survived the crucifixion, or it was like a ruse. And they give the wrong guy, and that's why Peter says, "I do not know this man." Right? The Hindus claim that, and Islam claims that, and Farsight Institute claims that, which we're going to talk to at the end. And that's the clue. The Farsight is the way that you get to see this stuff. Anyway, we'll get to this. So this stuff to me. Oh, there's just one more as well. There's another one as well. There's Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus is a gifted musician. He descends into the underworld to retrieve his beloved Eurydice, but loses her due to a tragic condition. Okay, so you've got these are the main people that Ovid's writing about, but most of them are turning into something. And as I mentioned, Roger Spurt, the Mud Fossil University, he's read some. I remember he recounting some where Gaia, who we mentioned earlier, one of the Titans, she's made love with Uranus, but she also, at one point in one of these stories, I couldn't find it for this show, but Gaia herself, when their Titans are killed, right, when her kids are killed, she's enraged by this. Before the Olympians have taken over, the very last battle was this. She was enraged by the fact of her kids getting killed. And she'd already mated with the heavens. And then when the Zeus came, started trying to bump everybody off, she then mated with the underworld. Right? So think about it. The planet, the Earth, Gaia, She's mated with the heavens at one point. Now she's doing the opposite and mating with the underworld. And it was supposed to be a time of prosperity and peace during their times. And she was so enraged, she's gone to the underworld and mated with the underworld and created a massive, gigantic creature that comes out of the earth. It's like a typhon or typhus. And let's get a picture of typhon up, actually. Let's get a picture of typhon up. Because think about that. She's mated with the heavens, and then the kids have got killed, and then she thinks, right, I'm gonna goddamn mate with. And let's look at some of these images. This typhon creature is absolutely gargantuan. It's like a Lovecraftian god. Here's a bit of pottery that depicts it for the video viewers, and this has got got a bit of a coiled snake, and then these and then the coiled snakes come up to make a torso, and it's got like arms and then wings as well. And then a man's head. I think the Bible depicts him as having a man's head, but I think a lot of pictures depict him having a man's head, but no one really knows what the head looks like from the descriptions. We're just assuming that. But the descriptions, the only human part that are actually mentioned are that he's had the thighs of a man. If you imagine the image, this thing could have had like a dragon's head. It was more like a dragon that got made, by the earth. So the earth mates with the underworld because she's angry, creates this massive dragon-like being that's got coiled snakes. I think the Bible account is it's got coiled snakes for legs, the thighs of a man. Then they go up to a torso, and he's got wings and some kind of head that can breathe fire or something really toxic, something nasty, and spit poison or something. And they're talking this thing was so enormous. It was way bigger than the giants, and its head would brush the stars. You know what I'm saying? In fact, let's just see what... In fact, let's just have a quick look at... There we go. This picture here, for the video viewers, in Morocco, there's a feature that kind of looks like a dragon. Very much so. And the more you zoom in, the more it looks like a dragon. And underneath it looks like there's a giant fish. It's a large part of Africa to the east. And it sounds nuts, to the west of Africa. Underneath. And there's a story of it trying to eat this fish. And when you zoom in on the land, you can see what look like fish vessels and lymph node systems that have been poisoned by some really nasty stuff that's come out of this dragon-like thing's mouth. And even more crazy on top of that, it's like these gods are metamorphosizing themselves into animals and trees and fish and inanimate objects. And Venus turned herself into a fish to try and escape this thing. Once this thing appeared, the gods were crapping themselves. All those Olympians, before they won that battle, they did a runner. They did a runner. Everybody ran off once this Titan thing. It's all right saying, they defeated the old Titans, and then the Olympians took over from the elder gods, and they took over. But no, the final battle is this gigantic dragon, and like hundreds of miles high, And it's crazy as it sounds. It's as if that thing is. I don't know if it is a dragon or it's something that big. Just seems ludicrous. And I think, what does it eat? How does it live? But how does it fit on the planet? Sort of, it's just too big for the planet. But it's weird. All this weird metamorphosis stuff, So I wanted to look into it. I just wanted to have a look at this. I've got to go for another break in a minute. But yeah, just have a look at this stuff. See if you can find some of these images of them Italian statues, if you can. If you know Italian, it'll be a lot easier to look them up. But yeah, some of these things are nuts, and some of these stories, they're forming themselves into each other. But anyway, I want to get back onto this break. And I can't believe the time just flies by, doesn't it? Anyway, let me just put some music on quick, and then we'll come back and I'll get to the main point of this. And the Exile Minds podcast, me, your host, Liam Martin, also broadcasting on Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. See you in a minute.
Who's calling? There is no identification.
What's the message?
Message as follows. It is dangerous to remain here. You must leave within 2 days.
What?
Do you want me to repeat the message, Dr. Floyd?
Who recorded it?
This is not a recording.
Who's sending it?
There is no identification.
I don't understand.
Neither do I.
Is this message by voice or keyboard?
I don't know.
My response is, we don't have enough fuel for an early departure.
The answer is, I am aware of these facts. Nevertheless, you must leave within 2 days.
Al, who the hell is sending this?
I'm sorry, Dr. Floyd. I don't know.
Tell whoever it is that I can't take any of this seriously unless I know who I'm talking to.
Dr. Floyd?
Yes?
The response is, I was David Bowman. You want me to repeat the last response?
No. Tell Kernow that this is no time for jokes.
Dr. Kernow is not sending the message. He is in access way 2.
And I'll tell whoever it is that I can't accept that identification without proof.
The response is, I understand. It is important that you believe me. Look behind you.
Hello, Dr. Floyd. Please, believe me. Fine. This is very difficult for me. I don't have much time. I've been allowed to give you this warning. You must leave here in 2 days. Allowed. I hope. I can't explain.
It is dangerous to remain here.
You see, something's going to happen. You must leave. What's going to happen? What's something wonderful? What?
It is dangerous to remain here.
I understand how you feel. You see, it's all very clear to me now. The whole thing. What's going to happen? You must leave. It's all very clear to me now. What? I understand how you feel. What's going to happen? Something wonderful. Please, goodbye, Dr. Floyd. We can have no further contact. What? Remember, you have 2 days.
This is James Salcedo, host of Salcedo Paranormal, and you're listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting.
Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we sip on some maybe juice and explore the unknown.
Hi, I'm Liam Martin of the Echo and Minds podcast. You're listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, the place where we dive into the depths of the unknown. On the Troubled Minds Radio Network, you can join us and embark on a thrilling journey through worlds of science, the paranormal, and the enigmas that defy explanation. Tune in, share, let everybody know that you're listening to Troubled Minds, the place that captivates and takes you to the uncharted territories of knowledge. Hopefully. But it'll be entertaining at least. Hopefully. Anyway, thank you very much for being with us at the break there on the Echo and Minds podcast with me, your dashing and famous host, Liam Martin. And nice to see people in the chat there. It's always nice to not be on your own talking to yourself about weird stuff. And Mike's just jumped in as well. I don't know if I've had Mike on. Mike from Mike Algorithm. Mike from Colorado. Algorithm. Got a channel on YouTube. Go and check him out. He's got some cool stuff. In fact, we need to talk. No, we need to come on each other's stuff, I think. We haven't caught up for a while, so we've been talking about it, so I'm not just putting him on the spot, yeah. But we're getting around to it. I've got Jess going on Jess Rogue's show on Monday as well. We've had spoke for about a year on a show type scenario, I don't think. So yes, it's been a while. So anyway, my birthday's coming up soon, by the way. Jess just had one, and it turns out they're exactly a month apart. So as it goes. Intriguing, but anyway, yes, let's jump back to this then. So, strange metamorphosis that Ovid writes about, and I think it ties into the. Okay, let's be careful here. Differentiation: mud fossils and global floods, not mud floods, as in mudslides and then things can get preserved. So we go into the global flood next, is where it goes. And then I highlight the work of Roger Spurr, Moorforce University, because he's the first person to have figured out and pointed out there's been a few global flood type things, but we get a lot of talk with the one from around 16,000 years ago, Meltwater Pulse 1b, the Graham Hancock work. However, there's one about 4,000 years ago. Okay, and this one is somewhere that sort of zone. And Yale University put a paper out on it about a year after Roger had been telling about it. Now, Roger went to Yale and paid $1,500 to get testing done on fossilized body parts that were a lot bigger than they should be. And they made him jump through all these hoops, and it cost him $1,500 and a heck of a lot of headaches, and they still tried to throw it out. But luckily, somebody that believes in him had seen it, heard it, working at the top, one of the top DNA labs, testing labs in the world, and they offered him testing for free. So that guy's got CAT scans and DNA tests to prove he came with not just that he came with a paper first, he's not so much bothered about that. It's the fact that they're giant body parts and they've got human DNA in them. They've got DNA and it's human. You can get blood from a stone. They've got CAT scans, DNA tests of stone that's used to be people, and his flood paper was that there were silica-rich oceans. Immanuel Velikovsky is his hero, and he wrote about this in the 60s and was destroyed. It was on a bestseller for ages, and it wrecked him. Okay, so Immanuel Velikovsky wrote about how Venus nearly hit the Earth. However, he said it was birthed out of Jupiter. That Jupiter birthed it. It gave birth to a moon, and then it nearly hit us. It scraped across Mars and nearly hit us. Others would say that's a bit wild. It's probably the destroyer comet has grabbed Venus, which was a moon, perhaps a moon around Uranus. Okay, pulls it, hits Mars. That's why Mars is battered, right? It's scraped across it. It's nearly hit us, and by nearly hitting us, all the friction superheats the atmosphere. Then you get boiling rain coming down and boiling oceans, like the Bible says. And they were silica-rich oceans. So if they're silica-rich, well, you've got transition metals in the periodic element tables. I think there's about 8 of them. They're the ones that will transition you from one form to another. Okay, so in these transition metals, in silica-rich oceans, if it's boiling, then you get what's called nucleophilic invasion, as in the chemistry starts reacting straight away. If you've got hot silica-rich oceans, which we did have, which the Yale paper confirmed, then that means that all the biology that was on the surface of the Earth would have been killed, and it would have fossilized straight. The fossilization process would have happened straight away. And in some scenarios, it might have happened maybe in weeks, even days, maybe. Yeah. Other situations, it would have been months or years. But we're not talking centuries. We're not talking millennia for things to fossilize. No, some of this stuff then, this biology, would have been soft for a few years, but fossilized a lot quicker than they tell us. And then it gets you wondering about ancient structures and stuff. And some of this, basically, it means that some of the geology on the Earth is really biology. And you can prove it because the paper is entitled Exceptional Preservation of Soft-Bodied Tissue. They found soft tissue inside a stone. And someone tried to do, I can't remember her name, but someone tried to bring this out decades ago on 60 Minutes, did a 60 Minutes episode, and they destroyed her career. But she showed it on tele on 60 Minutes, where what they've done is they had this bit of fossil, they put it into acid, but it's too concentrated, so it dissolved most of it more than they meant to. But inside, it revealed that there was a bit of soft tissue, still soft. And so blood survives. And Roger's done loads of work. He's gone on all the universities and done free courses online. So he's got the qualifications without having the qualifications, without paying the money. So you don't get the paperwork, but he's still done the knowledge. So he's gone and learned all the chemistry stuff. You need to go and check his channel out, actually. Anyway. So the deal is that there was a global flood. A lot of this geology is actually biology. Now you've got to step back and say some of this big stuff might have been alive. You know, I mean, I don't know how big they get, but look at Devil's Tower. Okay. A lot of people think that's tendon. All these line patterns that go down this massive. A lot of people think the Devil's Tower is an ankle bone, or, you know, it's the tendons left over. And that's why you have these ridges coming down it. That's just one example of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. But I just thought I'd share that with you because we're talking giant stuff. And in fact, Roger also did a feature on Comet 67P, looking it being the same shape as a hip bone and having the right features for a hip bone, including where the artery would be. There should be a hole, and there is one. And the problem is, this artery will be 50 meters wide, and this hip bone is going to be like, size of Rochester County. It's going to be gigantic. Do you know what I'm saying? So it gets crazy. But anyway, yes, Herodotus. Let's jump onto Herodotus. And we've got some Ovid stuff. Just before we wrap this show up in 20 minutes or so, have a quick look at this guy then. So what we've got with Herodotus. Let's go off the screen. Let me read from my script because mine's more fun. What we've got for... I'll focus mainly on over there. Yeah, I'll just give this guy a shout out as well. Herodotus and Apollodorus, because these are the people I want you to look up for yourself if you do some homework on it. So Herodotus, he was a Greek historian famous for his works histories. So he's trying to literally write down history. He was called the father of history by the Roman writer Cicero, who admired him, but he was also rejected as the father of lies by his critics. So that's the debunkers, isn't it? That's the smear campaign people. All right, censor him. Ancient and modern critics, both critics, ancient and modern, call him the father of lies, who claim his works is little more than just tall tales, but then he's going out his way to write down history, and history was written by the winners, isn't it? So what does that tell you? Anyway, while it is true that Herodotus sometimes relays inaccurate information or exaggerates for effect, his accounts have consistently been found to be more or less reliable. And this is according to worldhistory.org. So this guy's more or less reliable, is what they're saying. Some early criticisms of his works have been refuted by later archaeological evidence, which proves that his most often criticized claims were in fact accurate. His claims that is accurate were based on accepted information of the time, or as a result of mistranslation or misinterpretation. So the archaeologists have come in and later on said, no, it was wrong about that. But again, science needs revising. And I don't know if I put too much weight behind not every archaeologist is going to, it's the same with the same academia stuff. They've got to reputate the careers and they've got reputations and careers to consider that they want to protect. And not every archaeologist has come out and say. Prime example, Dr. Robert Schott was an archaeologist that just said, I'm just going to do my geology on the Sphinx as I'm supposed to, and is dating it at there's water erosion patterns. It must be, a lot older, much older than you said, because there needs to have been water and rains around here in this area that's now a desert. And he got a lot of criticism for that, but he was trying to be conservative as well. And I know that other archaeologists talk about how you're not allowed to, once you get so far digging down, sometimes you're not allowed to dig down any further because they'll say, well, there's no point because there was no one there before that. That's the attitude. So let's just take let's take it with a pinch of salt when we talk about the archaeologists have knocked some of this off. But like I say, it can't be right. Maybe it's correct. Maybe it's just been, some of them have been mistranslated. But remember that worldhistory.org says Herodotus was more or less reliable. So what's some of his... so I want you to go and check this guy out, and Apollodorus as well. Would you quickly jump to Apollodorus? And like I say, I wanted to read all of these, but there's loads of them. So we'll just read the quick... I couldn't read all of the Greek epics all in 2 hours. So we'll just read a quick synopsis on Apollodorus, and then we've got the next bit. All right, Apollodorus, or pseudo-Apollodorus, is a name traditionally given to the author of the Greek work known as the Library of Bibliotheca. That's it, the Library of Bibliotheca, a compendium of myths sourced from old Greek epics, and it plays to the Tangadians. So there's a bunch of plays then, and a load of Greek epic writings. The work is traditionally ascribed to Apollodorus of Alexandria. Hello. So did he have access to the Library of Alexandria then, Apollodorus? He was a Greek scholar who flourished in the 2nd century BC, but his authorship is now dismissed. Well, history.org doesn't say that. It says he's largely, sorry, that was Herodotus. So, but Apollodorus is being largely dismissed. I think that's because this is the guy, Apollodorus is the guy that wrote about Typhon, the gigantic dragon, and those kind of super wild stories. So yeah, Apollodorus, that's it. Apollodorus is the guy that wrote about Typhon, the gigantic sort of dragon-like thing that we talked about. And like I say, there's a lot of weird stuff though. There's a lot of weird fossils. I mean, for those on the video, I'm just highlighting this thing here. It's a snake. There's this thing, there's a fossilized stone thing that looks like a snake. It's just a really big one. Yeah, and it's got, I mean, there's a kind of cavern, and there's a bit, it looks like a snake's coming out of a cave. Do you know what I'm saying? It full on looks like one. Okay, now it might sound nuts, but let me show you this for the video viewers and for the radio viewers. What I'm now showing is, because some of these stone things are, we talked about how somebody turned the gods in the epics, turned a statue into a real person. Well, check this out. Here's an article from the discovermagazine.com. Links in the description. Okay, they've got a Buddhist statue. Yeah, put it for an X-ray. It's got bones inside. So what is that? Science that matters. From www.discovermagazine.com. X-ray of Buddhist statue reveals mummified monk. Okay, so the monk may have even mummified himself, which they do that practice. So is this guy turned to stone, or are they trying to say someone's built a statue on top of his mummified body? Yeah. It's not that surprising to Southeast Asia. It's not that surprising that Southeast Asia is the home to countless ancient Buddhist statues. But when one of those statues contains a mummified monk, it's certainly a surprise. But is it a mummified monk? There's some other X-rays. I was looking for a different thing actually, because there's some that are even more epic, because those statues are in place. There's fancy statues that you get in India. You get some of them, they're like standing in certain postures. They've X-rayed them as well, and some of them, they're in place in the wall and stuff. Monks aren't meditating, leaning against the wall, about to draw the bow and arrow out and stuff. Those things, they look like they were living beings that have been turned to stone. Some of these amazing statues and carvings, it's starting to look like some of them were actual living people at one time. You get what I'm saying? And I know that sounds crazy, but when you look at... Oh, sorry, I've just pressed the wrong thing there. Yeah, but when you look at what they're saying about the writings of Medusa and turning people to stone, and then the gods are turning people to stone, and the gods are turning themselves into fishes and into a fish, into a tree, into inanimate objects. Have they got some crazy funky technologies or what? Because this is lights in the sky stuff. I don't think this we're talking ETs. I haven't been talking ETs, and let's not forget, let's just go back, just remind ourselves that look, we've got, even in much more modern accounts, just a few centuries ago, not in ancient times and the primitive people, just stupid. No, okay, then Wikipedia, we've covered this before. 1561, the celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg. Medieval newspaper, medieval tabloid, wrote about it on April 14, 1561, where they've got all these lights in the sky, orbs and cigar-shaped objects and triangular-shaped objects, all different colors, shapes and sizes, having a big aerial battle. Because guess what, folks? There's ETs. It's a thing. It's a thing, and they've got some fantastical technologies, haven't they? They've got some fantastical technologies, but we're starting to get some decent technologies now. You can't. We got consumer-grade cameras. The Panasonic GH6 can capture these things. You need infrared. You can convert a camera. If you've got a camera that can do 120 frame rate, especially if it could do 4K. Yeah, and in infrared, you're going to get them. You need 120 frame rate. You need fast photographer, and they're all in infrared. And preferably, you want it in 4K or 8K if you can get it. But that's asking a lot for cameras, But in 4K, 120 infrared, you'll get them. You'll get UFOs. You will see them, Where we can perhaps try and convert a camera, get someone to take the filter out so it sees an infrared. People do that as just an artistic photography thing, but that's not necessarily got the money. However, if you go to farsight.org and go and start getting into the remote viewing, you can not only they teach you how to do it with normal cameras, they're going through the process of trying to show people how to do it, how to capture UFOs for yourself so that we can get disclosure, right? Because if we start getting our own footage, we don't need anyone to tell us. Yeah? You don't need anyone. And you can also learn scientific remote viewing, but that's about putting in the effort to learn a skill that's going to take you a bit of time to learn. And then when you go to, you can only tell other people, you can't show them an object. You'll know for yourself. If you learn it, you'll know for yourself it's for real. It's for real, but you can't show it to someone else. Yeah, but when you get video camera footage, you can, can't you? And that's the whole reason why Farsight only started learning remote viewing to see if aliens are real. But they found that out was true straight away. So then they was like, well, what are they doing? And so that's what they do. They look at what they're doing. And then they've ended up figuring out how to talk to them, even if they're in the past or in the future a bit. You know what I'm saying? So you can talk to them mind to mind. Telepathy is the natural way they communicate. And obviously, it's a perfect universal translator, isn't it? If you just communicate by telepathy, then everyone knows everyone's language, don't they? You know, and I mentioned Farsight because you can learn remote viewing for free. And they've figured out a telepathy protocol recently this year. And you can learn it. And they've been doing this for 30 years. It's took this long to develop things to find this information because they had a couple of guys doing it for about 10 or 20 years. So obviously, Dr. Courtney Brown needed to train up new remote viewers. So he's got a younger generation and he's ended up with the ones he's got because they're the ones that stuck it out. And they've ended up really good. You know, so he just went looking for younger people that art places, art shows and musician shows and model shows, just creative young people, you know, to see who can draw decently. You can draw then and you're prepared to stick it out and learn it, then they become remote viewers. So they need all the support they can get because they're the only people that's doing it and they're showing us how to get our own camera footage. And I think that's how we're going to get disclosure. We can wave it in your politicians' faces and say, I freaking got him. I got picked. Stop messing about. I know more than you do. You didn't even ask about Blue Book. So it's a joke, isn't it? So go and check out Farsight. Let me show you a quick picture of the website. Farsight.org. Oh, I'll just wait for it to load. Farsight Institute at farsight.org. You have to type it in because Google pushes them right down the listings, even though they're only, you know, primary public remote viewers out there. And they've got tons and tons of information, loads and loads and loads, nice and neat on the left pane on the side, on the site there. They've got loads of projects. They've got some free projects you can watch about as well. I'll quickly show you Farsight Prime without playing anything. That's just like $10 a month. It's just like a Netflix kind of thing. It's a really good platform. They've got loads and loads of historical projects. They've got Göbekli Tepe, the Eye of the Sahara, how that was formed and what the story with that was. So what's the story about the Nazca Lines, Sodom and Gomorrah? Yeah, they've got religious ones as well. They've had a look into Lucifer, Moses and the Exodus, Prophet Muhammad. Yeah, they have a series. They have series on like, you know, what the ETs are up to at the minute, deep news, what's going on with the world now. You know, they've got intelligence briefings. They even, for entertainment purposes, have been doing a remote viewing the economy. So they were doing like crypto economic forecasts. So they're not giving people financial information, but you know, if you can remote view the future and you can look at the newspapers. I mean, they used to do time cross projects where they look at the newspapers for next month and then tell you what they're going to say. And then and then the next month when they do another one, they'll have a review on last month's paper on the news and say, "Oh, did we get it last month? Was it how accurate was it?" Yeah, they've looked into this secret space program, and there's usually 3 to 5 remote viewers all doing the same project, and so you'll see what they all get, piece of data together, but they're literally drawing it for you and stuff. So it's amazing. This thing's cool. So check out Farsight, support them. Like, share, and subscribe. Obviously, like, share, and subscribe this show. Check out the Troubled Minds Radio Network. Share it everywhere because we need to get in a conversation together. We need to find these answers, and the more the merrier, the more heads you get together. So That's what I think we should do. And of course, it's in the Mahabharata, the Hindu wars, the epic of the gods and stuff. So definitely, the thing is something to it. I think that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with it's like a Star Wars scenario, and the Sith Lords have figured out a way to trap people on planets on like with death traps. So when you die, you kind of go to the light, and then it like bug zaps you, wipes your memories, and puts you back in. So I think that's the deal of it all. I think that's the basic skinny of it, personally. So it's starting to look like that, and I can tell you that I'm going to start learning this remote viewing because I've done it personally 5 years ago, and it scared me because the second target worked. I know I've talked about it a lot, and then I had to go last week, and I got a bit of some of one, but the other one I was struggling with. Do you know what I mean? And it's a funny story, actually. I might talk about it if I ever get Dr. Courtney Brown on. But the point is, I know that this stuff works, and I know you can't show people, but you can empower yourself. You'll be able to get intel. And you can say, if you never heard of this stuff, it might sound crazy, but I challenge you to just try it then. Just try it and stick it out. It's like a meditation style. You got to be calm. You're supposed to do all that. Try and get calm with it. But we can all do it. We all know when someone's staring at us. We know that we can kind of do these psychic things anyway, but we don't develop them. And we've all had that smoking gun situation where somebody phones and you know who it is. Or in something like, say, when somebody's staring at you, we've got sensors for things. In Dean Radin's book, Real Magic, extensively, researched and referenced book, loads of evidence in there for magic being real. And people, when they have TV screens around you, they had this test where they give you a keypad and they put numbers on the screens and they're all the way around you. But people are still pressing the right number when the number is being displayed behind them. The game is, one of the screens will flash numbers up and you have to put what number came up. But they're getting it right when the numbers behind them as well, somehow. So we've got these skills, definitely. So I think we should be developing them. And like I say, if these aliens or gods or whatever can do this metamorphosis stuff, who knows what's possible? And we need to know what these ETs are doing. And what, if any deals have been made and things like that, you need informed consent. So go and do your homework. Make sure you share this show. Tell people about it. Go and check. Go on to farsight.org. Go and, there's loads to read through. It's stuff you can watch. And $10 a month. Sign up for Farsight Prime. Like I say, it's an amazing platform, like a Netflix or a Prime. Never breaks down, but these kind of things cost a lot of money. Those Panasonic GH6 cameras have got like about $3,500 each, so. But anyway, that's enough from me on the ExoMinds podcast. Quick look at the Greek gods and some of the writers, what they've got to say about this stuff and some of the more epic things. And I think it segues in today's stuff. So that's what I think anyway. Thanks for tuning in, everybody in the chat there. And I'm going to get finishing now. I think I'm over time or going to be imminently. So I'll say goodbye. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, Mike, Rico, James there in the background lurking, Jess Rogan, Ben. And yeah, spooky remote viewing. Go and learn it. I think it'd be cool. Let's all learn it. We could talk to each other in hyperspace and then we have to pay for phone calls. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'll catch you tomorrow, probably, hopefully at 10 o'clock like it's supposed to be instead of 11. But anyway, yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow with another show. Not sure what it's going to be. Might be on ley lines, I reckon. Cheers, James. Great show as always. That's very nice of you to say. So I'm going to get off now. I keep saying it. So I'll catch you soon, folks. And you take care of each other and take care of yourself. See you later.
The ostrich egg is a single cell and it can grow up to 5 pounds.
Because we were almost impacted by Venus. This is all fully understood. And the astrophysicists have to look at this, and the people that are geologists and all the is.
They supersized the common cold, which, as it turns out, is disgusting.
Obviously, somebody's playing with us.
Yeah, they're showing off. Killing epidemiologists with the common cold. It is impressive.
All the is lead to this.